When we go deeper into our own personal practices, when we really start to address our specific needs, intentions, goals, circumstances. So we learn from group practices about the different movements, the different practices and techniques, but ultimately the real way to address ourselves is to have a personal daily practice. Now you can refer back to these practices and do them with me at any time through the library, but I encourage you to find through self-analysis, what is it that your body needs? Not only your body, but your energy, your emotions, and your mind, and find the techniques that can help you either to increase something that you feel you need more of, or to release the things that you would like to let go of. And there's so many different ways to do yoga, and every day our body, our energy, our emotions, and minds are in constant flux, constant change. So we need to be present with ourselves to understand, what do I need in this moment? And to develop a personal practice, it's very simple actually. You just need to make sure that you get the spine moving in all the possible directions. Forward bend, back bend, twisting side to side, the lateral flexion of the spine, and even inversions, turning the body upside down to get the energy moving through the body. And as you learn to go into these practices, you start to feel what's happening because there's no teacher guiding you, you are guiding yourself. And this is our therapy, this is our medicine that helps us to transform ourselves and to awaken to our highest potential. So I really encourage you to spend a little time each morning. It doesn't have to be an hour or 2 hours. If you can get onto a mat for 5 to 30 minutes each morning, this is more important than doing a practice just once or twice a week for an hour or two. A little bit of practice every day to balance ourselves. Again, it's all about not just the physical body. It's about the energy, the emotions, and the mind and the body. So find the techniques that work for you. And if you're not sure, work with a teacher or send me questions and I can help you to find a practice or develop sequences that really work for you. And when we develop our personal practice, remember, it's a traditional way of doing this is we start with some warm-ups to get the body ready. Then you can move into the standing flowing sequence, and this helps to get more energy and heat in the body, flowing through the body. After that, we typically come down onto the floor and do seated postures, and you can even end the practice with some of the inversions to help bring the energy into the higher chakras. Now, the inversions are things that we have to be very cautious with because at times they can be challenging for the body. So always do this with awareness, and it's best to learn the inversions with the teacher first before you try them on your own. And anytime you develop your personal practice, we do what are called counter stretches. If you bend the spine forward, the counter stretch is to bend the spine backward. If you twist to the right, you want to twist to the left. If you move the spine laterally to the right, you move it to the left. And of course, this is about the balance within the body. But we also start to become aware of the subtle aspects of the practice that go into the energy, because Hatha Yoga is really about balancing the energy, because the energy is what manifests the physical body. So we can start to understand that this posture has this specific energetic impact, then I know what I can do through my own personal practice to address my energetic needs in that moment, in that day. There's an excellent book out there. If you're not sure about which postures work with energy and which chakras, you can look at this book from Swami Satyananda, the Bihar School of Yoga, B-I-H-R. The Bihar School of Yoga has many excellent books about yoga, and the one that I recommend to help you understand the energy of the postures is to look into what's called Asana Pranayama Bandha Mudra. Asana Pranayama Bandha Mudra is the title of the book, and it's really an excellent book. It's a reference to help you understand, okay, if I do the shoulder stand, what's going to happen energetically? Because really, once again, going into the energy practice is going to help us get deeper into the healing benefits and the balancing aspect of the science. After we do our physical practice, as you've seen here on our practices together, we go into the breathing. So we're going from the grosser to the more subtle. We start with the physical body, then we go into the more subtle with the energy of pranayama, the breath, then we go into the most subtle, the meditation. And by doing these things, we can take ourselves from the external world and our external awareness and gradually bring our awareness more and more to the internal subtle levels of ourselves, because ultimately yoga is about more than the physical body. I say this all the time, but I need you to understand that if we're only doing a physical practice of yoga, we're touching just the tip of the iceberg of what's available to us through this science of transformation and awakening. So when we go into pranayama and meditation, this is guiding us into a place of stillness and inner peace. The flowing practices are beautiful and necessary. We need strength and health in the body to then transcend the body and go into something far more subtle. And when we get into the energy, the emotions, and the mind, that's the real goal of yoga, is how do we get into that space between the thoughts? That's why I encourage you during the practice to look at the space between the breaths. Anytime there's space, stillness between the breaths and between the thoughts, we get in contact with our stillness within ourselves. And in that state of stillness, that's the deepest level of peace. And in that peace is where we experience the greatest bliss and relaxation, therapy, healing. All of these things amplify when we are still and peaceful. So there's a natural tendency or sequence that we move through in our personal practice. And once again, you can do all of this within 15 to 30 minutes. You get the spine moving in all the directions. You can do that in 5 to 10 minutes. Then you can do about 10 minutes of breathing and 10 minutes of meditation. And you have a complete practice in 30 minutes. And if you do this every day, which I encourage you to try this experiment where you do this every day for a week of your own personal practice. And at the end of 1 week, you can benefit from this personal practice that addresses your needs, and you start to evaluate for yourself how you feel. And if you miss a day after a week, you're going to feel the difference of what it's like to have that yoga practice that balances you in the morning versus starting your day without that practice and going through the day from a very different state of consciousness. And ultimately, that's what we're going for, is that balance that allows us to come into a peaceful state, because from that place of peace and balance, we can be more effective in whatever we do with our family, our friends, our job, our school. It's not just about what I do on the mat. This mat is actually just training for everything else in life. So the personal practice is our responsibility in a way, because when we bring that balance to ourselves, then we can affect greater change in the world around us. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of getting to the mat every day. And many of us have great excuses why we can't do it. But this is a way to actually create change in the world around us by creating the change within us that then radiates to all the people in our lives and the mass consciousness. So I encourage you, find that 5 to 30 minutes every morning. It's like brushing your teeth. You start every day by brushing your teeth, so you go out with a fresh breath. Start every day with a little bit of personal practice, so you go out into the world with a fresh state of mind and an emotional state that helps you to radiate your light into the world.